Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Angela Anderson Show, where we help moms live their dream while taking care of their family. I am your host, Angela Anderson, and I'm so excited that you're here. Let me tell you a little bit about why I created this show. It's a result of a virtual summit that I hosted last summer called Get Your Life on Track, Walk in Your Purpose. It was geared toward moms who wanted to identify their purpose and live it fully while taking care of their family. So for 14 days, I interviewed top influencers and special guests who shared information and great tips that assisted mothers in finding their purpose and pursuing their goals and their dreams, all while taking care of their family. So there was such a popular demand for this. So I created this talk show where I will continue to empower mothers who are out there who want to see their value, understand their importance, and reclaim their identity. Because you know how it is for us moms, we lose ourselves in the day-to-day, whether it's taking care of our kids, whether it's just doing things, going out there and just living life. So we want to have this show for you, and I'm hoping that it will be very beneficial to you. So today I have a special guest with me. Her name is Latasha Ferguson, and I'm going to read to you her bio. She's such an amazing person. Latasha is a passionate educator who has spent the past 19 years serving in the roles of teacher, assistant principal, and now director of instruction. As a biracial Korean and African American woman, she has experienced the unique challenges of leading while being the only one in the room. Because of this, her heart beats for helping women of color, leaders, lead themselves well, navigate the nuances of being the only, and find community. Wife to her best friend and mom to 4 beautiful girls. In her downtime, she loves to run, read, spend time at the beach, and travel in search of great food that hugs her belly. I love that. So before we bring her out to you, I want to have a short commercial. So we're going to be back right after this. Just when I thought I knew God. If you are searching for a devotional book to add to your collection, or if you need a quick gift for any occasion, and mind you, Mother's Day is just around the corner, search no further. Just When I Thought I Knew God is a down-to-earth 40-day devotional that includes a journal section for those who like to write, and it has it for each day. Take a look. We're here on Amazon.com, and it's also available in Kindle format. All right, we are back, and I want to introduce to you our guest, Latasha Ferguson. Hey, Latasha.
Hi, Angela. I'm so glad to be here with you. Thank you, and humbled. Thank you for having me on.
Wonderful. And I'm so glad that you are here with us. So today I just want to talk a little bit about you. I know I went over your bio, but what is your current business or profession at this moment?
So I've served in education for almost 2 decades. And so now I am currently serving as a director of instruction. And so I oversee, coach, supervise, lead principals is what I'm currently doing in my day job. So I do have by night, I podcast and speak and do some other things, consult. But my main job is director of instruction.
That's awesome. And what I love about that, and it reminds me of a lot of moms out there, including myself. You know, we have our what we call our day job, and then we have our side hustle.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's all in being a mompreneur,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So tell us just a little bit about your story, meaning, you know, how you got here, you know, when you first decided to pursue this dream, including your podcast and maybe just the profession that you're in right now? Just talk to us a little bit about that.
So, I'm for some people, it was, it may be that they had, some outline plan that they wanted to do. And I did have an outline plan of what I wanted to do and become since the time I was a teenager, and had a couple of life events happen. One in particular that was really big that shifted and pivoted my course. And I had to work through that. I became a single mom when my senior year of high school, and then had to really shift what I wanted to do. I had a whole dream, plan, outline, and so that shifted. And I know some moms watching might be able to relate a little bit with that. I had to, maybe not so much the teen single mom part, but the pivoting and shifting, right? Because anytime we have kids at any age or stage of our life, we know that kids take up probably, it feels like at first 100% of our time, right?
Right.
And it's like, what can I do with I don't have anything else to give.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might be grieving over what you thought your life would have been with kids.
Yes.
Or maybe there's moms out there that planned to have kids at this certain time, but then they had kids another certain time.
Yes.
And then you think, oh, that was out of my plans. And so then your dreams are, some people think, well, you just get over it, but you don't really just get over it.
Mm-hmm.
You do go through a period of grieving, a period of what you thought should have been, could have been.
Mm-hmm.
And that really kind of played in my mind for a long time. What could have been, what should have been. And I'm a natural achiever. And so for me, it doesn't really take much. We can be good on one end, but not so good on another, where I will just go and kind of take it, kind of put, my own feelings aside and try to do what's best. At the time, my kids were really my motivation. And I was like, okay, what kind of life do I want for them? When they look up at me, and I have two girls at the time, do I want them to see a mom that just says, well, I kind of just let life happen to me? And, and I was a victim of life and my circumstances. Or could I, really lean into who I had said God was all these years, and just really lean into that and allow him to make my story new. Yes. And redeem my story. And so, that was my choice, thankfully, through the prayers of my parents and other family members. That then started my journey. Yeah. I didn't know I wanted to be an educator, but that's where my path led me, and where God led me. And I'm so glad, 2 decades later, that I've been able to serve hundreds and thousands of kids through that as a teacher and several different positions that you had named earlier. Right. And there was a struggle along the way, right? There was a struggle, serving and tending to other people's kids, and then trying to balance when I did marry and I had additional kids, and moved up the ladder, because that was a dream, right? There might be some moms out there thinking like, okay, I'm in this position now, I want to go into management, but how do I do that? Or I'm doing this, I want to open a business, but it might mean that I can't go to every soccer game. So you have that battle of like, okay, so does that mean that I'm not a good mom because maybe this season in my life, I can't attend everything, I can't go to everything. And so I battled with that, right? I battled with that. But one of the things that I really learned out of that, Angela, was like the importance of having a community.
Yes.
The importance of having a community and really allowing your kids see you try to struggle through that a little bit. That's okay, right? Yes. They don't need to see the perfect mom that's everywhere all the time, because eventually they may or may not have kids. And if they do, they need to have some reference to, hey, I saw my mom kind of battle that, but my grandma stepped in. Right. But my dad was able to step in, or my uncle or cousin or the neighbor and her friends, they made sure that I was able to not saying you don't miss your mom, but I knew somebody loved me and was there for me. Right. Yes, and so oftentimes we feel like, okay, if I'm not the one doing all the things, fixing the lunch, doing this, going to the games, all of that, and work gets in the way, then this guilt hangs over our head. And so embracing community, and then, understanding, no, I can't have everything all the time at this time that I want it. But at a particular season, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then being open to pivot and go in a different direction if needed. Yes. And so it's been a whole journey through all of that. But looking back, I would say what's really kept me was leaning into, what God, where he wanted me to go, where he wanted me to be, and then really having the backup of my community to be around to say, whether I'm a single mom or even if I'm married, I need people to help me to raise these kids. It indeed takes a village. It takes a village.
Right. I love everything you just said, Latasha. You hit on quite a few points that resonated with me personally. You know, as a mom, and I'm sure the moms out there, we I hate to say it, we want to be perfect, right? We want that perfect life, if not for ourselves, we want to provide that for our kids. And a lot of times we look around and we start comparing ourselves, which is to me the worst thing that we could do, right?
Absolutely.
You know, we have to almost make it our own. Like you said, just what type of life do you want to have? You know, let me create that right here. You know, not looking at what so and so's doing over there or so and so's doing over there, or what that mom did. But, you know, I want us to talk a little bit more to the mom out there who is trying to have it all, you know, like is you know what I mean? And you talked about that a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
I remember I went to, I think it was some sort of women's conference, and the speaker, she was taking questions from the audience. You know, you write them down, stick them in a jar, and she'd pull them out. And the speaker didn't know that I wrote this, but I said, "Can you really have it all? Can you really have it all?" What do you think, Latasha? Can we really have it all?
So that's such a good question. And I've heard so many different takes. And I read something the other day and I thought, I do believe I resonate the most with that thought. And she said, I'm going to teach my kids and my girls, especially, because I think girls get it the most. Boys never, there's no question of can you have it all. I think they're kind of raised like you can have it all no matter what. You can have 15 kids, but you can have it all, right? But for girls and for women, it's more of a pause and thought, well, can you really have it all? And I was reading online and she said, I'm going to teach my kids that my girls in particular, they can have it all, but maybe just not all at once, maybe just not at the same time. Right. And so I think there's, a few different things, that comment back to, the societal expectations and the roles of women versus men. And sometimes as women, sometimes we can get, if we're totally honest, a little miffed by the fact that it seems like the men can have everything all at once.
Right.
It doesn't matter what season, what time, what's going on with the kids, this. It seems like they can have it all. Right. And then it seems like we have to be like, well, maybe not. Maybe some dreams die, maybe others revive. And it may feel like a constant compromise all the time. Why do I have to compromise all the time? Why can't I just go for it? Do what I want to do when I want to do it. Right. And so, I had that moment in my career where I was, my dream was always to be a building principal and to, I fell in love with education, became an assistant principal. And I said, I want to be in the building as a principal. Right. But I felt the tension because my husband was, an administrator at the same time. And someone listening might be able to relate to that. You're rising, husband's rising, right? You got kids, maybe littles. Yeah. And at the time we had littles, I had one in daycare, one in elementary, one in middle, and one in high. So I had the whole spread. Right. And those 3 years, although I loved the work that I was doing, I loved it, y'all, but it was so tumultuous at home. And it was so painful, really, when the home life really suffered. Yep. Because we had a lot of night duties. He had night duties. I had night duties. Kids were grabbing Subway and they were falling asleep in my office while I had night duty. It was all the things, right? Yes. And so I came to a point where I just cried and I was like, okay, I think I need to make a pivot. I felt like I could have it all at one point, all at the same time. But I remember looking down at my babies and when having a spread like that, where I had one about to go off and be an adult and the younger one, it gave me some perspective where I thought how fast time goes. Yes. How fast it just, you blink and it's over. Right. And I really had to change my perspective, right? I had to shake off the bitterness of like, oh, I'm a woman and I can't have everything, like men can't. And I also had to say, these kids are a gift to me, right? Yes. And so, God does care about our passions. He cares about what we love and care for. And we have a gift, right?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
if it's whatever that gift is, he cares about that, right? He doesn't
Yes.
expect us to throw it away if we're a mom and
Mhm.
not do it again. But
Right.
it might be taking another direction or being willing to pivot a little bit until you can have a little bit more bandwidth,
Yeah.
until the home life and the work life can kind of balance each other out. Because really what I realized is that even though I could pursue all I wanted to pursue on the outside, coming
Mhm.
home to a home that was in disarray
Mm.
was heartbreaking to me.
Right.
And it eventually did impact what
Mhm.
I was trying to do on the outside.
Right.
And so I really had to step back and say, okay, God, you've given me these kids. And so it was my husband and I talking together, right? And so
Mhm.
hopefully
Mhm.
you have a relationship like that where you can talk to your spouse. And if you don't have a spouse, you're a single mom, maybe your community, and
Mhm.
say, I really want to do this. You want to do that. Where can we meet in the middle? And
Yes.
so for me, around that time, a virtual position came open to be a virtual principal. And I never saw that coming. But for me, it was the perfect compromise. I could still do what I loved, but I
Right.
could be home. I could have more of a flexible schedule. And so, I would say that the point of that is if you're really aching in your heart and you're feeling torn, bring it to God, right? And say,
Mm.
this is what I want to do.
Yes.
These are my two passions. I love my family, but I also love all these students and these teachers and all of that stuff. I love this as well, whatever that might be. X is business that you're trying to birth out of me. I love both, right?
Right. Right.
But help me to see, like, how does it look, right? Maybe it's only soft opening the business a little bit while this gets settled, and then while the kids start to get older,
Right.
maybe it's amping that up a little bit more. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Yes.
how does that look? And then give me the piece that, like you said, I'm not late. I think
Mhm.
that's what I was dealing with too, right? This thought of like, you're late, you're late, you're late. If you
Right.
don't do it right now, it's not going to be done. And you better
Right.
hurry up. Look what that one's doing. That person's doing. That person's doing.
Mhm.
They're doing the same thing you wanted to do. Hurry up, hurry up. So there's
Yes.
this song playing in our head all the time of like,
Mhm.
hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. You're going to miss out. There's not going to be another opportunity. But I assure you, there will be another opportunity,
Right.
right? There will be a time. There will be a season. I have friends now that are empty nesters and they're looking at me saying like, we're bored. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means.
I don't know either. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, they're like, we're bored and we're trying to reinvent ourselves and we're trying to figure out what to do. And so it's given me some perspective too, like, okay, really being content in the season that you're in too. Because I think once
Yes.
the kids go, then it's like, oh, they're gone. What am I going to do? But they're here. So, it's a delicate balance. And I don't think there's a one answer for everyone, Angela, like
Right.
just leave all that behind or don't go for this or do go for that.
Right.
But again, going back to that community, and then thinking to yourself, if it is a sacrifice because you need to get something started at this time, but you
Mhm.
also have busy with kids,
Right.
it might not be that way all the time. So
Right.
maybe it's just this season that feels really squeezed, but
Yes.
you can see the light at the end of the tunnel that you've made some plans in the future for more bandwidth, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Mhm.
And again, you hit on so many amazing points. You know, one of the things that you said, it's we sit here and we think, oh man, we're too late, or this is going to pass me by, instead of recognizing, listen, what's mine is mine. You
Yes,
know, when we delight ourselves in the ways of God, He's going to give us the desires of our heart. And you
exactly.
said, lay it out to God and say, this, and that doesn't go unanswered. God will
Amen.
come. He already knows and He's already provided. And
Exactly.
that is something that we
Exactly.
really have to take into consideration. And again, talking about your community and those who support you.
Yes,
And even if you don't have a spouse, get that community, that support system, and that can really, really take you such a long way. So all
absolutely.
of that, what you just shared, Latasha, is amazing. Let me ask you this.
Mhm.
You talked about quite a few things, as you were going through, and you have a very unique story, which, believe it or not, I have met quite a few people who can identify with what you said in terms of, maybe having a child that was unplanned at an early age, and how they still like went through it, and look at where you are now. And I commend you for that, and every
you.
person that I come in contact with, because that is a struggle. Being a mom already is a struggle.
Absolutely.
But
Yes.
making your mind up and going forward with what you have planned, that's amazing. So I definitely commend you for that. But what would you say was your greatest challenge that you pursued, or that you had, being a mom and pursuing your dream at the same time?
Oh gosh, I would say probably the greatest battle was making peace with the fact that whatever season I was in, whether that was the baby stage, but then all I could give was a little bit over here. I'll give an example of like my podcast. When I was thinking about doing my podcast, I knew I was at a season of my life where I was like, I don't really have I have this podcast baby in my belly, but I know I don't really have the bandwidth now to go in that direction. Right. Like, and I don't even know what I'm doing. But I did know how to write. I did know how to journal. I did know how to write down ideas. And so I think I just told myself, start with that, right? Like just write down things where you are. It's okay if, you're a mom out there and you're changing diapers and you're thinking like, but I have this dream. Do you know what I mean? Or I want to go back out to work, but I'm, in the midst of like the messy toddler twos.
Yes.
Or, you know what I mean? Or you're the mom that the kid is about to graduate and you're thinking, how am I going to reinvent myself? I have no idea, who am I now if I'm not a mom? I think for me along the way, with having grown kids now and still having young ones, one, knowing who I am.
Yes.
Who I am, because kids are going to come, go, they're grown. Sometimes I hear from my older ones, and then sometimes there'll be days and I don't, but I still have the younger ones. And so I had to learn, and ask myself, who are you? Who did God create you to be, Tosh, right? Separate from being a mom, that no matter what seasons and things shift with your kids, I know who I am, right? And I know who God has created me to be. And then I'll say the second thing is everything we do, it matters. It does matter. You changing that diaper, it matters. If all you can do is write right now, it matters.
Yes.
If all you can do is just research things online, listen to Angela's podcast and get encouraged, because that's all the time you have while you're sweeping up the house and you're cooking dinner and you're making mental notes and you got a notepad of what your dreams are.
Right.
It matters.
Right.
It matters to you. It matters to God. And he even hears those silent prayers as you're writing of what you want your dream to be and how you dreamt of this, of that. And so all of those things matters. And again, you're not late, and know that just because, your stuff, and I think social media has kind of stretched us out of, perspective of what it is, just because your stuff is not on front stage for everybody to see. And you're up in the middle of the night, rocking in the chair, wondering, does this matter? Like, no, does it even matter? It matters.
It matters,
right? It matters. And so don't let anyone convince you of that. Don't let what other people are doing convince you of that. It definitely matters.
That is a good word right there. A friend of mine has always said to me that nothing that we're doing, God is not, it doesn't go to waste.
No, it doesn't.
God is going to use it. It may not seem like it matters right now, but it does.
It does. It does. Absolutely.
The things from before, it will come to fruition. We just got to wait. Like you said, it could be just not in this season, but it doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
That's right. That's right.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
Latasha, take a minute or two and tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, so it's called Overcome to Become. It's on a little bit of a hiatus because I had to take on some other things like consulting and coaching, but started about 2 years ago. I interview women leaders, and I like their stories to come out to show that though we have the messiness of life, or the murkiness, or even the dark sides of our life, that there's always a story. There's a story behind when we see the reels right online, and we see the after effect of people's lives and go, wow. But I really wanted to show that you do the overcoming leads you to the becoming. And that's where I came up with the term overcome to become, because though we have to go through things, it doesn't mean that our story is over. And it's what makes us who we are. So there's about 70 episodes on there. There's plenty of content, wonderful speakers and leaders and everyday women that are on there sharing their stories and encouraging. So I encourage everyone to check that out. My plan is to be back in the fall after the hiatus.
Awesome. That is wonderful. Overcome to become. Well, ladies, moms, you've heard it. And Latasha, that was just amazing. So thankful for everything that you shared with us. So moms, what about you out there? You know, do you have a dream that's hidden in your heart and you're just not sure how to get it started or how to pursue it? I am a mom life coach. I can help you with that. So if you want to level up and get things started, please schedule a free consultation with me. www.chatwithcoachangela.com. Let's chat about it. Let's chat about it and let's see if we can get you going. All right. So, I just want to thank everyone once again for being here with us. Latasha, I want to thank you so much for coming out
Angela,
and being a part of this show. And thank you all for watching the Angela Anderson Show. If you like what you saw, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel just by clicking on the subscribe button. And until next time, we will see you. Take good care.